I watched the king eat my brother's heart while it was still warm. He didn't cook it. He didn't even wash the blood off his hands after. My name is Adanna, and I'm writing this because someone needs to know what really happened in our village. Everyone thinks King Obasi was a good man. They're wrong. It started 3 months ago when the king's first wife died. She was young, maybe 25, and healthy. One day she was fine, the next day she was dead. No one asked questions because you don't question a king, but I was her servant. I brought her food every day, and I saw the white powder the king's medicine man put in her soup the night before she died. After his wife died, the king became strange. He stopped coming out during the day. He only walked around at night, talking to himself. The elders said he was grieving, but I knew better. I started watching him from my window. Every night at midnight, he would go into the forest behind the palace. He always carried a bag with him, and he was never alone. The medicine man went with him every time. His name was Ekwensu, and everyone in the village feared him. He had these eyes that looked dead, like a fish, and he smelled like rot. One night I followed them. I know it was stupid. I know I should have stayed home. But my brother worked in the palace kitchen, and I was scared he would be next. They walked deep into the forest, past where normal people go. There was a clearing there with a big flat stone in the middle. The stone was stained dark, almost black. It smelled like metal and death. The king took off his clothes and stood naked in the moonlight. Ekwensu started chanting in a language I didn't understand. Then 6 men came out of the trees, dragging something behind them. It was a girl. She was maybe 15, still alive but drugged. Her eyes were open, but she couldn't move or speak. I recognized her from the market. Her name was Kioma. The king smiled when he saw her. Not a normal smile. Something was wrong with his teeth. They looked sharper than before, like they had been filed down to points. They put Kioma on the stone. Ekwensu kept chanting while the king stood over her with a knife. I wanted to scream, to run, to do something, but my body wouldn't move. I was frozen behind a tree, watching. The king cut her throat so fast she barely had time to struggle. The blood poured onto the stone and ran down into grooves that I hadn't noticed before. The grooves formed a pattern, like a star with too many points. Then something happened that I still don't understand. The blood started glowing, not like fire, but like moonlight trapped in water. And the king bent down and drank it straight from her neck. When he stood up, he looked younger. The gray in his hair was gone. The lines on his face had smoothed out. He laughed, and the sound made my stomach hurt. I ran. I didn't think. I just ran as fast as I could through the forest. Branches cut my face and arms, but I didn't stop. I could hear them behind me crashing through the trees. They were faster than they should have been. I made it to the village just as the sun was coming up. I hid in my house and didn't come out for 2 days. My mother thought I was sick. I let her think that. Kioma's parents reported her missing. The king sent men to search for her. They found her body 3 days later, torn apart by animals. At least that's what they said. But I knew the truth. The king came to the funeral. He cried and promised to find whoever did this. Everyone believed him. I stood in the back and said nothing. 2 weeks later, another girl disappeared. Then a boy. Then an old woman who lived alone at the edge of the village. Each time the king seemed younger, stronger, more alive. My brother noticed it too. He told me the king didn't eat normal food anymore. He only wanted meat, raw and bloody, and he only ate it at night, alone in his room. I decided to tell someone, but who? The elders loved the king. The warriors followed his orders, and Ekwensu had eyes everywhere. People who spoke against the king had a way of disappearing. Then my brother came to me with an idea. He worked in the kitchen. He could poison the king's food. It would look like an accident. No one would know. I begged him not to do it. I told him it wouldn't work, that the king wasn't human anymore. But he wouldn't listen. He said someone had to stop this. He said he wasn't afraid. That night my brother mixed poison into the raw meat he brought to the king's room. I waited at home, praying to every god I could think of, praying he would be safe. They found him the next morning, or what was left of him. The king said a leopard must have gotten into the palace, but there was no leopard, and leopards don't eat their prey's heart first. The king called me to the palace that day. He wanted to give me his condolences. When I walked into his room, he was eating. I saw my brother's ring on the floor next to his chair. The king looked at me and smiled with those sharp teeth. He knew that I knew, and he wanted me to know that he knew. It was a game to him. He was showing me that he was untouchable. I left the palace and went straight to the forest. I found the clearing with the stone. In the daylight, it looked even worse. There were bones in the bushes around it, so many bones. I counted them. 23 skulls, some old, some new. The king had been doing this for years, maybe decades, and no one knew except me and Ekwensu. That's when I decided to write everything down. If the king killed me too, at least someone might find this. At least the truth would exist somewhere, even if no one believed it. I tried to run away. I packed my things and left in the middle of the night, but the king's men found me at the edge of the next village. They didn't hurt me. They just brought me back and locked me in a room in the palace. The king visits me every night. He doesn't touch me. He just sits there and talks. He tells me about all the people he's killed. He tells me how good they tasted. He's waiting for something, but I don't know what. Ekwensu came to see me today. He said the king wants to make me his new wife. He said it's an honor. He said I should be grateful. I told him I'd rather die. He laughed and said that could be arranged. But the king wants me alive. The king has plans. Tonight is the new moon. Ekwensu says that's when the ceremony happens. The king will marry me, and then he'll kill me on that stone in the forest. He says my blood is special because I know the truth. He says it will make the king immortal. I don't want to die, but I don't see a way out. The windows are barred, the door is locked. And even if I escape, where would I go? The king owns everything. The king is everywhere. If you're reading this, I'm already dead. I hid these pages in the wall of this room. Maybe someone will find them someday. Maybe someone will believe them. But something happened tonight that changed everything. An old woman came to my window. She said her name was Neka, and she was the king's mother. She said she knew how to stop him. Neka told me the truth about her son. When he was young, Ekwensu promised him power and long life. But the price was his soul. The king agreed, and that's when the killings started. She said there was a way to break the curse. The stone in the forest had to be destroyed during a new moon, but only by someone who had lost family to the king. And it had to be done with fire from the first tree that ever grew in our village. That tree still stood in the center of the village. It was ancient, older than anyone could remember. The elders said it was sacred. No one was allowed to touch it. Neka gave me a small knife. She said she would unlock my door at midnight. She said I only had one chance. If I failed, both of us would die. At midnight, the door opened. Neka was there with two other women I didn't recognize. They were old, older than anyone I'd ever seen. Their eyes looked sad but determined. They gave me a burning branch from the sacred tree. The flames were strange, more blue than orange. They told me to run to the forest. They said they would hold off the king's guards. I ran through the palace halls. Behind me, I heard shouting and screaming. The old women were fighting the guards with nothing but their bare hands. I didn't look back. The forest was dark and full of sounds. Every shadow looked like Ekwensu. Every bird call sounded like a warning, but I kept running, holding that blue flame tight in my hands. I reached the clearing just as the king arrived. He wasn't alone. Ekwensu was with him, and 6 guards. They had been waiting for me. It was a trap. The king laughed. He said his mother was a fool. He said the old stories were lies. He said nothing could kill him now. Then he told the guards to take the torch from me. But when the guards got close to the blue flame, they screamed and fell back. Their skin was burning where the light touched them. The king's face changed. For the first time, he looked afraid. I ran to the stone and threw the torch on it. The flames spread across the surface like water. The blood stains started to glow, just like they did during the rituals. But this time, the light was blue, not red. The stone started to crack. The king screamed and ran toward me, but Ekwensu grabbed him. The medicine man was burning. The blue flames had spread to his clothes, his skin, his hair. He was screaming words in that strange language. The stone split in half with a sound like thunder. Blue light shot up into the sky. The king fell to his knees, aging right before my eyes. His skin wrinkled, his hair turned white, his teeth fell out. Ekwensu turned to ash and blew away in the wind. The guards ran into the forest screaming, and the king just sat there on the ground crying like a child. He looked at me with old tired eyes. He said he was sorry. He said he never wanted this. He said Ekwensu had tricked him when he was young and scared. Then he closed his eyes and died, finally at peace. I walked back to the village as the sun came up. The old women were waiting for me at the edge of the forest. Neka was among them, smiling. She said the curse was broken. She said the village was free. The elders found the king's body that morning. They said he died of old age. No one questioned it. No one wanted to know the truth. But Neka and the other old women knew, and they thanked me. It's been 6 months since that night. I'm still here in the village, living in my mother's house. No one else has disappeared. No one else has died in strange ways. I buried my brother properly, with prayers and flowers. Sometimes I visit his grave and tell him that he was right. Someone did have to stop the king, and in the end we did. The wicked king is gone, and our village is safe again. That's all that matters now.